The Oregon State Capitol is the fourth newest capitol in the country. It's an Art Deco design and architecture. Started in 1935, completed in 1938. We are in the rotunda of the Capitol of the state of Oregon. And as you enter the three revolving doors, the first thing you see on the floor is the Oregon State official seal. Oregon became a state in 1859. However, in 1857, knowing that we were going to be, through an act of Congress, granted statehood, a constitutional convention met here of legislators and others, and they selected a committee of four gentlemen to design our seal. The top of the seal is our national symbol of peace and strength, the bald eagle. Just to the lower left of the seal, you'll see two ships. One is a three-masted British man of war, the HMS Hood. And so that British ship leaving the Oregon country is symbolic of the British leaving. And the other ship is a two-masted steam sailing ship, and it's symbolic of the Americans coming into the Oregon Territory or taking over the Oregon Territory. And then the focal point is a covered wagon or prairie schooner, and that's symbolic of the settlers coming from the east to the Willamette Valley, particularly in 1843. There was a large migration of settlers. And they were called prairie schooners because they actually were built to float. And just below that, there's a ribbon-like affair with the words, "The Union." That was originally our territorial motto, the Union. Oregon became a state in 1859, the Civil War started in 1861, and Oregon was a slave-free state, no slaves, and we were truly members of the Union. And then around the perimeter of the shield of our seal are 33 stars, and that's representative of Oregon. It was the 33rd state admitted to the Union. In the rotunda, there are four major murals. The murals on the south side of the rotunda are more from a historic point of view and the settling point of view. And then the murals on the north depict historic events that happened and historic people that were here at the time. The first one is Captain Robert Gray, and his main claim to fame was the discovery of the Columbia River. And he named the bay and the river after his ship, the Columbia. The other mural to the right is Lewis and Clark. The mural depicts Lewis and Clark on the Columbia River up in the gorge at the Dalles. And you'll notice in the mural, there's a young Indian girl. That's Sacagawea. Some of us pronounce it Sacagawea, which is okay, but if you were a Shoshone Indian, you'd rather have it pronounced Sacagawea. To the right of the mural, you'll see a black gentleman. His name is York, and he was Captain Clark's slave, and he accompanied the group on their entire journey out to the Oregon coast. The next mural, you'll notice, the focal point is a tall, white-haired gentleman, Dr. John McLaughlin. As the settlers came out from the east to the Willamette Valley, John McLaughlin was very helpful in terms of providing them with seed and farm animals. Well, he had an ulterior motive for doing this. He didn't want the American settlers to get involved with the fur trading business because that was Hudson Bay and the English was involved in that. So he really was interested in having them settle the land and farm the land and that sort of thing, which was good. In 1953, the state legislators deemed him the father of Oregon. The other mural is a depiction of the wagon train that mostly came out in 1843. This particular mural depicts one of the major wagon trains that came out here, composed of about 900 people. They floated those wagons down the Columbia River. While they were doing that, Mr. Borland took all of the animals, the horses and the oxen, and a group of men, and they went around Mount Hood, and they all met up somewhere in the Willamette Valley. Today, there's a Borland Road that goes around Mount Hood that you can actually drive on, and there's a Borland High School in Gresham, so he was a well-known Oregon historic figure. We were a provisional government from 1843. In 1848, we became a territory, but still located in Oregon City. And the territorial legislators decided that we would move the capital to Salem, and that was in 1850. Well, the territorial governor at that time refused to move the capital to Salem from Oregon City. There was a big raging controversy about that. Finally, an act of Congress forced the governor of the territory in Oregon City to move to Salem. So actually it was moved to Salem in 1852. In January of 1855, they completed the first territorial capitol building, and in December 29th, the building burned to the ground. And some people think it was arson because the political powers in Oregon City were reluctant to move to Salem. The second capitol, which was started in 1873, completed 1876, went on as our capital to 1935, where there was a fire. It was an electrical fire, started in the basement of the second capitol. Like a wind draft, the fire went right up to the center of the building and right to the dome. It was a copper dome, and that burned. The dome was supported by steel girders, which melted in the fire. Shortly after the second capitol burned to the ground in 1935, construction started on this capitol, and this building was completed in 1938. We are in the Oregon State House of Representatives chamber, and just a little information regarding the interior of the chamber. The walls are a light oak. The carpeting is a kind of a spendy Irish carpeting made in England. And there's a depiction of the Oregon State official tree, the Douglas fir tree. And there are names in the upper perimeter of the chamber. And these are people who, over the course of time, in one way or another, had a very positive contribution to the state of Oregon. The floor of the chamber, you'll notice there are 60 desks, because Oregon has 60 House members, 60 House districts. The large mural above the speaker's podium is a very interesting historic event. At that time, the Oregon country was a vast area. In 1843, there was a meeting conducted up at Champoeg, which is a little town on the Willamette River between Portland and Salem. And there were about 100 people at that particular meeting. And the object of the meeting was to discuss whether or not we should petition our government to allow us to be a provisional government. Joseph Meek, who was one of the primary people there at the meeting, drew a line in the sand and asked all those who wanted this to be an American provisional government step over on this side of the line. And at the time, 50 of them did, and 50 did not. He was able to talk a couple of French-Canadian trappers into stepping over to the American side of the line. So therefore, that's how the initial phases of Oregon becoming a provisional government was started. We're at the top of the state capitol dome. It's about 140 feet to the base of the statue. And then the statue itself is a Oregon pioneer. It's no particular person necessarily, but just a representative of the pioneer spirit in Oregon. Ulrich Ellerhausen sculpted the statue back in 1938. The statue is 23 feet tall. It weighs 8.5 tons. It's made out of bronze, and it's coated with gold leaf. The building faces north, but the statue is looking to the west, where the first and second capitals face the west in the Willamette River, because that was a source of commerce. Where the capitol faces north, Mount Hood is in the background, that is probably seen. The state capitol campus is directly north of us from the capitol, and there's various features there, some fountains and things of that nature. Most of downtown Salem, if not all of downtown Salem, is viewing from this particular height, which is the second highest point in the city of Salem. The First Presbyterian Church spire is a little bit higher than this, but standing here, you're at the most elevated platform that you could be in. The building really is a historic museum, as well as the seat of our legislature and our lawmaking body. From the seal to the four major murals on the walls, they all talk in terms of historic events that have made Oregon what it is today.